Welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, coming at you with a Chiefs post-game live stream. I'm going to break down the Kansas City Chiefs' big-time win over the Tennessee Titans on Sunday Night Football. So I will say that this live stream is coming a little bit past due. The game was on Sunday night. I had to drive back from the game to Lawrence to get to class on Monday. I was busy all of yesterday, but I didn't want to go through this week and not talk about this game, because it was really fascinating. I mean, from somebody who was there, it was one of the stranger games that I've seen. The Chiefs were able to win this game in overtime fashion, a thrilling comeback, some might argue, by a final score of 20-17. This was, and I don't think anybody would argue with you, the ugliest win in the Patrick Mahomes era. It doesn't matter how you win, it just matters that you win. But this game was ugly. Right before game time, we got the word that Malik Willis was going to start over Ryan Tannehill. Funny enough, so basically my job entails going through the tunnels and putting the pyrotechnics on the field for the game. And as I was walking in, kind of trying to do my job, a fan asked Ryan Tannehill as he was walking in, was he going to start? And he kind of just laughed and said, "Is it game time yet?" And then walked in the tunnel. But I think that we had a pretty good idea that he was not going to start in this game and that it was going to be the rookie Malik Willis. So I think a lot of Chiefs fans, once they found out that Malik Willis was going to be the starting quarterback, kind of breathed a sigh of relief, because he had no experience. And the previous week, all he did was hand the ball off, and they were able to win the game. But nobody was really impressed with Malik Willis. So I don't think that, Chiefs fans were overconfident per se, but the Chiefs had a pretty good confidence to them. They were coming off of a bye. Andy Reid is always great coming off of a bye. But as one of my coworkers pointed out, Andy Reid has a lot of trouble against the Tennessee Titans. If we take out the AFC Championship game win from a couple of years ago, the Chiefs have not beaten the Titans. They lost, obviously, that playoff game a long time ago, but Mike Vrabel seems to find a way to beat Andy Reid every single year. I mean, they beat us the year that we won the Super Bowl in the regular season. They beat us last year in Tennessee. I mean, they've really had their way with us for the better part of the past decade. At least under Andy Reid, it has not been pretty. But the Chiefs were somehow able to win this game. Patrick Mahomes, he didn't have necessarily a great game if you just watched him, but his stat line says different. He threw for 446, damn near 70 attempts. He was 43 of 68, one touchdown to one interception. But the highlight from Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, wasn't what he did with his arm, rather what he did with his legs. He had 6 carries for 63 yards, averaging 10.5 yards a carry. He was our leading rusher. Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 4 carries for 5 yards, averaging 1.3 yards a carry. Isaiah Pacheco had 5 carries for 5 yards, averaging 1 yard a carry. I mean, Jarrett McKinnon was probably our best back, but he had 3 carries for 4 yards. So nobody on this team ran the ball effectively at all. And it really showed, because the Chiefs, up until the fourth quarter, could not move the ball. In fact, I looked over at my coworker as we were sitting in the suite, and I was like, this is a game that the Chiefs are going to lose, because they could not move the ball offensively. It was brutal. I mean, we went into the fourth quarter trailing 17-9. Harrison Butker missed an extra point. He missed a field goal that could have made it 12-17. And the Chiefs just really looked bad offensively. But somehow, some way, Patrick Mahomes, when the game really was on the line, was able to march the team down the length of the football field. I believe it was 93 yards, and ended up taking it himself for the touchdown. And I know a lot of Titans fans are going to get on us, Chiefs fans, for kind of celebrating on Twitter and how, this game was rigged because of all the 2-point conversion attempts. I was sitting in that corner of the end zone. I can tell you from a firsthand experience that there was so many flags on that play. Like, everyone gets on the offensive pass interference on Kelsey that didn't get called. On that very same play, Mecole Hardman got nearly decapitated, and we don't even talk about it. I mean, the Titans were very handsy at the goal line. And there was a reason why on every single 2-point conversion attempt, there was at least 4 or 5 flags. And I just think that, the Chiefs were able to take advantage of that. And the Chiefs were actually, they needed that 2-point conversion to tie the game. and Patrick Mahomes just could not find a receiver and just said, F it, and he ran it in himself for the 2-point conversion. Like I said, the storyline of this game wasn't what Patrick Mahomes did with his arm, although he threw for 446 yards. It's what he did with his legs, because him having that big-time run on third down, it gave the Chiefs a first down. It kept the chains moving. That was probably the defining moment in this game. And, again, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time situations, and Patrick Mahomes was able to do that. And, a lot of people, and specifically on Chiefs Twitter, and maybe it's because I wasn't really able to watch most of the first quarter, Derrick Henry had his way. He did pretty well. He had 17 carries for 115 yards, and he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Let's be honest. That is what Derrick Henry is capable of doing every single week. That is not a surprise to me. But I thought our defense did really well in the second half. I think I saw something that they ran almost 30 plays and had a combined total of 10 yards passing. The Titans did nothing offensively in the second half, and that's because our pass rush got to Malik Willis. I don't know who Malik Harris is. Malik Willis, and they were able to make him uncomfortable. George Karlaftis has still been a little bit frustrating, but Carlos Dunlap picked up the slack. Chris Jones, Colin Saunders played some meaningful snaps. He had a sack. The pass rush was able to get to Malik Willis. The back end of the defense, man, it's still really solid. Jalen Watson, I saw this tweet today about Trent McDuffie. He got targeted 4 times, didn't give up a catch, and had a really high grade. The Chiefs' back end really held it down, and the linebacking core made some big-time plays. Leo Chenal was the starter. He started in this game. Granted, he's a little bit raw. He's got a little bit of work to do. But Nick Bolton showed again that he can single-handedly tackle Derrick Henry. Willie Gay, you needed him in this game to be good. He showed up and showed out. His ability to go downhill and just get back in coverage was really important, and he did that in this game. But, I think our defense doesn't really get enough credit for what they did, because they gave up 17 points to the Titans, and they didn't give up anything in the fourth quarter. And in the second half, all they allowed was a field goal. I mean, if the Chiefs played a semi-decent offensive game plan, they would have won this game handily. But the Chiefs' offense struggled. And I think that, a lot of that has to do with Patrick Mahomes' reliance on Travis Kelce. That still is a problem, and I think that we need to admit that. Travis Kelce had 10 receptions for 106, and the box score makes his performance look a lot better than it actually was. But if you watch the game, you could kind of tell there was some frustration from both Pat and Kelce, because it just kind of seemed like they were just not in sync, at least in the first 3 quarters. Now, obviously, the theme with the Chiefs is that they're able to figure it out and ultimately get the win. But this is a game that, in years prior, the Chiefs don't win. I'm very confident when I say that, because the Chiefs did not play well in this game until about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where they put it together. And even then, the Chiefs were somehow able to go the length of the football field, get a touchdown, get a 2-point conversion, and they got the ball to start off overtime. Chris Jones was able to predict the correct coin toss. It ended up being heads. The Chiefs got the ball. They drove the field. They made some gutsy play calls. I mean, I know they went for it on 4th down inside the 20. They ended up getting stopped at the 10 and had to kick a field goal, which thank God Harrison Butker made. And thank God that was enough to beat the Titans. But the offense still kind of sputtered and just didn't look complete at any point in this game. Am I worried? No. I'm not going to be worried about this Chiefs offense. Is it a little bit concerning that you have basically no running game outside of Patrick Mahomes? Yeah, that's a bit concerning. Again, I don't know where Ronald Jones is, but Ronald Jones deserves at least an opportunity to see what he could do. I mean, our 3 running backs, I'm looking at it right now. Our 3 running backs outside of Patrick Mahomes, I guess if you want to throw in the fullback, Michael Burton had 1 carry, didn't get anything. Jarrett McKinnon, Pacheco, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire had a combined 14 total yards on over, 9, 12, 13 carries. 14 yards on 13 carries. You do the math on that one. That is not good. You need somebody to run the ball effectively. And I saw it a lot on Chiefs Twitter, and especially recently. Clyde Edwards-Helaire might be out of a job really soon because it's really frustrating to see a first-round pick not get benched, but he wasn't named the starter. That job belongs to Isaiah Pacheco. And even then, Clyde Edwards-Helaire had opportunities to shine, and he didn't do anything. And the Chiefs need to be able to run the ball effectively. And I think that that's another reason why they didn't do so well in this game. Because if you have to have Patrick Mahomes drop back to pass 70 times, I mean, yeah, he's very capable of doing that. But come on now. Like, you have to split the game plan up offensively a little bit. But, I want to talk about some of the Chiefs' pass catching options. Like I said, Travis Kelce had 10 receptions for 106. Juju Smith-Schuster, yet again, showing that he is wide receiver number one. He had 10 receptions for 88 yards. Mecole Hardman had a pretty good game, having 6 receptions for 79 yards. Although I will say that he dropped that big third down pass that you got to catch that, Mecole. Noah Gray. Noah Gray had 3 catches for 45. His longest catch of the game was that 27-yard bomb down the field I guess it was in overtime to I think it was on third down too. Patrick Mahomes heaved it way downfield. Noah Gray caught that ball, juggled it, and was able to come down with it. Biggest catch of his career, I would argue. And it set the Chiefs up in a great position. And that's the kind of stuff that, we are really fortunate to see out of Noah Gray because he answered the call and he made a big time play when we needed him to. Jarrett McKinnon had 6 receptions for 40 yards. He hasn't been great in the running game, although I would argue that he's probably our best running back, but he's looked good in the passing game ever since. Justin Watson had a 2 catch for 37-yard performance, his longest catch being 18. Actually, his longest catch being 31 yards. Our offensive weapons didn't have like an explosive game by any means, but I did think that he did fairly well. Oh, one thing that I want to mention, and I haven't actually had the chance to talk about this. The Chiefs' acquisition to get Kadarius Toney already has served well for the team. He had 2 catches for 12 yards in this game, but more importantly, it's his ability to kind of chip in and do stuff that he's called upon to do. He just wants to be in this offense. I mean, he chipped Bud Dupree off the line, and Bud Dupree's a big man, and he sent him flying. And that's the kind of stuff that, you love to see from a wide receiver. It seems like he's eager, he's hungry, he's ready to go. He ran a filthy out route or like a stutter step in, really, really sick, and was able to catch that ball for the first down. Again, making an immediate impact, and who knows what his role could be in this offense in just a couple of weeks. But I will say, where is Sky Moore? Sky Moore was drafted in the second round to be Kadarius Toney. And ever since he had those problems on special teams, we haven't really seen much from him. And again, I think that Sky Moore deserves the opportunity to play. Just because he's not on special teams doesn't mean you cannot line him up as a wide receiver. But I think that we have to talk about how Dave Tobe and his special teams unit hasn't been very good this year. I don't want to really bring up the kicking element because Harrison Butker got hurt and, he hasn't been great since he's been back, but he's been sufficient. But, we can kind of talk about the punting, or I guess the punting, the punt return, and the kick return blunders because they've been way too common. And that's something that we need to see change because I know that Dave Tobe is telling his guys, if you can return this, return this. And we cannot have that. We need to see a special teams unit that doesn't take away from this offense and make our defense work harder because the special teams unit this year has been god-awful. They've always kind of been mid. This year, they've been a bottom 10 special teams unit, and that needs to change. But, I will say, for as much as I just ragged on the special teams unit, I want to give a round of applause to Tommy Townsend. Tommy Townsend had more action in this game than we're used to seeing. I swear he probably had 15 punts because, again, until the fourth quarter, every single offensive possession ended up in a punt. And we had not moved the ball very well on offense. So Tommy Townsend was punting from like R20, and he was pinning the Titans back on their half of the field. So again, it's important to have a good punter. And Tommy Townsend had a good game. You don't really want to cheer for your punter to have a good game because hopefully you're not punting that much. But when you do have to punt, it's important to have a really good punter. And Tommy Townsend was good in this game. But, I just think that this is the kind of game that I'm glad they won. I think that you need to have these ugly kind of team-defining wins. But you also need to recognize that this win is not going to be good enough to, propel this team into the future. They're still going to have to do a lot of improving. They looked unprepared at times. They looked sloppy. They just weren't in sync on offense. And again, the Titans aren't a bad team by any means. Coming into this game, this was the battle of the 5-2 teams. But you've got to find a way to make sure that you're not underperforming and undisciplined and unprepared when you face a great opponent. And I don't think the Titans are great, but, you're going to face some really great opponents. And, I don't want to segue too far into this, but Josh Allen, as of right now, is going, I think he has an MRI on his shoulder. He hurt it or tweaked it in that game on Sunday. His future is undetermined. There's a good chance that he might miss a very good chunk of the season, maybe the rest of the season, and maybe the playoffs. He might be done for the year. I hope he's not. I'm one of the Chiefs fans that actually enjoys watching Josh Allen play. Granted, I don't like watching him play against us, but he's just a great quarterback. Watching him, just hurdle guys while it's frustrating being a Chiefs fan, it's like, what can you do? The guy's just so big and so fast and so strong that it's almost like watching a deer hurdle like a car. It's just incredible. But, I'm hoping that he gets better, because if the Chiefs do have to face him, or if they do have to face the Bills, I want the Bills to be at full strength, because if they're not, we're going to have to hear, the Chiefs had a weakened Buffalo Bills team and it didn't really mean that much. When in reality, I think that if the Chiefs and the Bills faced off again and both quarterbacks were fully healthy, I think the Chiefs would win that game. I really do, because Josh Allen has been kind of on the decline the past couple weeks. And kind of segueing back into the Chiefs, this was a over my dead body game for Patrick Mahomes. He didn't necessarily show that in the amount of touchdowns that he threw, but throwing for 446 yards, scrambling, running all over the place, running for 63 yards, and scoring a touchdown with his legs and getting that 2-point conversion with his legs. He's so fascinating to watch, because he's not a fast quarterback. But as I always say, he's just one step quicker than everybody else on the football field. He's not the fastest, but when he needs to be, he's just one singular step ahead, which is enough. And I think that this game puts Patrick Mahomes atop of the MVP conversation. As of right now, I think Patrick Mahomes is the most valuable player of this league this year. He's shown it in the past 8 or 9 games that he has performed very well, even without a pass-catching option like Tyreek Hill. He leads the league in touchdowns, and he leads the league in passing yards. And I think he's towards the top of the league in QBR. I don't really think QBR matters, but he has been the best quarterback in the game of football this year. And I think that, especially if Josh Allen's going to miss some time, if Patrick Mahomes just keeps playing at this level, he's going to be your 2022 NFL MVP. And I'm excited to see that. But, hopefully in the future and in the next couple weeks, we don't have to see Patrick Mahomes will this team to victory. I would like to see a more balanced offensive and defensive attack. Again, I don't think our defense played poorly in this game. I really don't. 17 points, is good enough to beat anybody. If you just put up a good offensive game plan, 17 points is very manageable. But I do think that, our offense is going to have to be much better at converting on first and second downs, because you can't get in those third and long situations and expect that to go well. So again, this game was very brutal to watch until about the fourth quarter and in overtime, but the Chiefs were able to get the win. It doesn't matter how you win. It just matters that you get the win in the NFL. And the Chiefs were able to win this game on Sunday Night Football by a final score of 20-17. Sorry for this post-game live stream getting up so late, 2 days after the fact. But, I wanted to get my thoughts out on the game, and I hope to get more Chiefs content out, next week. But, I'm really busy with college and working for the Chiefs and working for 810. But I'm trying to find a way to manage it all, and I appreciate everybody for sticking around, listening to these post-game live streams, and giving your feedback. Like I said, the Chiefs were able to squeak by the Tennessee Titans, advance to 6-2 on the year. The Titans fall to 5-3. And with this win, the Chiefs are still atop of the AFC West. So until next time, guys, thank you for watching this Chiefs post-game live stream. As always, thank you for watching, and go Chiefs.